So, yeah, turns out a lot of people are not happy with how the first closed beta for Chrono Odyssey went. Part of it might be because they saw all of these super cool trailers with super cool graphics, just like this. And once they actually jumped into the closed beta, they saw something a little bit more like this. And this. And of course, we can't forget about the fun, explosive barrel situation. But honestly, for a lot of us that stuck it out and played the game for more than just an hour or two, I think a lot of us can agree that we did see a lot of potential in Chrono Odyssey. And we have to remember that this is a closed beta, the very first closed beta. And the whole idea for closed betas is to provide some feedback in hopes that the game will eventually be a little bit better come launch. Even if that means, hey, there's no way you guys can launch in Q4 of this year and have the game be a success, right? But regardless, I think it's also very important to know that we're all on the same team here, right? We're all enjoyers of MMOs, and we want the best possible product hitting the shelves to keep us busy until the next best thing shows up. And with all of that in mind, I wanted to create a quick feedback video and showcase what my personal beliefs are when it comes to how we can fix Chrono Odyssey and making sure it's a success and a whole lot of fun come the official launch. I was able to play roughly around 40 hours or so where I broke level 20 as a berserker, had the average equipment score of around 23, and get a pretty good idea of the different combat systems, quest lines, gathering, crafting. You get the idea, a little bit of everything when it comes to Chrono Odyssey. Also, not a huge fan of sharing this information, but I have over 5,400 hours in New World Eternum. I honestly am a huge fan and I love these types of games, and I've seen a little bit of everything in regards to what works and what doesn't. I tried to pick my pieces of feedback in this video very, very carefully in the overall idea that these might be the most impactful and lead to the best result come launch. So, with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into my first piece of feedback. And that's regarding scaring players off way too early in the game. Now, for many of us who played Chrono Odyssey, we typically got to the first Chrono Gate boss when we were level 3 or 4. We went up to it, and honestly, we had a bad time. After typically like 2, maybe 3 shots if we're lucky, we found ourselves dying. We would try back to back to back, and each time die, die, die. Now, I'm not saying that it is bad to have difficult bosses and enemies in MMOs, but what I am saying is that this is an MMO. If you don't make it clear to people that, like, hey, maybe go explore a little bit, level up, and try again, many of them just won't do it. They'll keep trying, they'll keep failing, and they'll keep getting discouraged, and eventually they'll just quit the game. My suggestion here is that if a player dies in this first boss battle, have the pop up say, we recommend you explore, level up, upgrade your gear, and come back later. That's all it takes. It'll save a lot of discouragement and give people a little bit more time to explore and actually try the game out without just dying constantly. Next up is just a quick note on the customization. If you played around with this, you guys can quickly tell that it was insane. You can basically make your character any color of the rainbow, and it just got insane. I'm all for the power of customization. I mean, as I was creating an alt, I was watching the Avengers, so I figured, hey, I'll make the Hulk, and honestly, it looked pretty good. However, I think if you want to make sure the game's a little bit more serious and not terrifying, where some of the characters are scarier than the bosses, or if you step into town, you get confused if you're playing Toontown or not, you might want to just tone it down a little bit. So again, just my personal preference, but customization got a little bit too crazy in my opinion. Next up, I'm not sure how many of you guys actually had the chance to do some PvP, but I flagged up and came across this guy, and we ended up just duking it out in the open world, and it was a lot of fun. Time to kill was not insanely fast, it was very, very skill based, and I had a ton of fun. My one suggestion though is to actually do something similar to New World, where there's some sort of incentive to flag up. Otherwise, I don't think anyone's really going to have this experience that I did here, and it was honestly a ton of fun. Plus, shout out to this guy because he ended up kicking my butt. But realistically, just like a 5% XP boost or something like that is all you need to get more people to flag up and more open world PvP to actually happen. And speaking of New World, one of the things that I think they did not do a good job on is their overall perk system when it comes to armor and weapons. New World right now probably has 200, maybe even over 300 different types of perks you can put on armor or weapons, and honestly, 95% of them are just hot garbage. And that worries me because I think Chrono Odyssey is somewhat similar. Just by playing about 40 hours or so and hitting level 20, I quickly realized that there are some very easily accessible perks that you can put on your armor, like I'm showing on the screen here, that are honestly insane, like night and day compared to 95% of the other perks I saw in the game. So it's just something to be aware of. I mean, try to balance out the perks as much as possible or set them up where you can really have some true build diversity. Otherwise, everyone's going to be running the same thing regardless of what class they're in, which just takes away from the combat system, in my opinion. If you already made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Consider hitting that like button and even subscribing for more videos just like this. Okay, let's jump back to it. Next up, and again, maybe this is personal preference, but while playing this game, most of the time, it did not feel like I was playing an MMO. It kind of felt like I was playing an ARPG next to a bunch of other people, right? You can play this game and not have one interaction with anyone else, which for an MMO kind of rubs me the wrong way. For instance, there's no trading in this game, which, I mean, hey, that prevents any gold duping from happening. That happened in New World, right? So that's nice. But on the other hand, being able to interact with other players in a little bit more of a social aspect is a lot of fun. Maybe they'll add more instances of like 5-man dungeons or 10-man raids or things along those lines once players hit like level 20 or 30 and enter the next regions. But again, that's my personal thoughts on it. And I really do hope that as you advance further in the game, there's more opportunities to buddy up with other friends and just make more friends along the way while taking down large challenges. Next up, in regards to just typical exploration, one of the pieces of feedback I have is regarding adding a optional mini-map. So on the top central portion of the UI, you can see that there's a small compass that kind of points you towards certain marked locations or quests, but very often I found myself having to open the world map, which also had like a 1 or 2 second delay, and just going back and forth, and it was just taking up a lot of time, and it just didn't seem very seamless. Adding some sort of like optional mini map in the top right corner, for example, could just be a better gameplay experience. And again, make it optional. You know, jump in the settings and people can turn it off if they don't like it. Or if you're people like me, you know, and you enjoy just having a little bit more visibility, then why not just add it and make the overall idea and feeling of exploring the world a little bit more enjoyable. Okay, so I have a lot more feedback to share, but I don't want you guys sitting here for another 10 minutes, so I'm going to be moving through the rest of the feedback pretty quickly. For starters, I do want to call out that the overall quest rewards, in my opinion, were just bad. I can find better drops and just better gear from random mobs, and a lot of these quests just gave you like 1k experience, which honestly just kill 5 or 6 mobs and there you go, you've got it. A lot of the side quests just did not seem worth doing. Next up, I'm not sure what happened with the whole volume situation, but almost every single cutscene that you encountered in the closed beta test made your ears bleed. It just like it was triple the volume and was just completely unnecessary. I don't want to get super in depth with the combat because we see it everywhere, but again, major concern. We just have to make sure that when you actually swing an axe, it hits wherever you're swinging at. Making sure that functions and feels good is going to be critical for the game's success. Speaking of that too, interacting with like levers or just open world items just didn't seem to work. You'd have to click E like 3 or 4 times sometimes just to actually make it work. However, things that are great, I mean, double jump, I love it. Please do not remove it. Sometimes games play around with like gravity or give players more freedom with movement and they take it away. don't touch our double jump, please. Next up, crafting. I had so many situations where I crafted armor with my berserker and I got pieces with intelligence or wisdom or something I did not need. Maybe you guys can cater like a crafting system where based on your class, you're more likely to get certain attributes. But again, maybe that's just bad luck on my part. Speaking of my ears hurting, my eyes also hurt quite a bit. Depending on where you were in the world, you honestly got blinded. Sometimes if you looked up, even the sun blinded you. So, there's points for being realistic, but on the other note, it did hurt your eyes quite a bit. And last but not least, I do want to make sure that the team is fully prepared to react and merge quickly if they have to. I believe over the 3-day closed beta test, they ended up having upwards of like 70 servers per region, adding up to 210 different servers. So keep that in mind too, especially with games like this where a lot of players might quit after 2 or 3 weeks. Those players that are still playing and enjoying themselves likely will end up quitting too if there's no one else around them. And there you go. In my honest opinion, I think this game is a ton of fun and has a ton of potential as well. And if they are able to implement a lot of these changes that I requested in this video, I honestly think the launch of this game could be a huge success. Whether or not they can change everything I mentioned, though, within the next few months in order to launch it later this year, well, that's a whole other story. If you agree, disagree, or have other suggestions on how to improve Chrono Odyssey, go ahead and comment below and let me know because I truly love to know. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.